Welcome everybody to the Radiologic Knowledges channel. It's been a couple of weeks since I've done one, and if I can, I'm going to see if I can grab a link here and go post it in the group to let our Facebook group know we're doing a live Q&A. I'm going to try to start doing these. I just made a new banner for the top of the Facebook group. It says Saturday live Q&A. And I'm going to try to start doing these with my wife. You know, she's an x-ray tech too. And so if I can grab, nope, I'm looking for a link that I can, maybe that's it. Video link, copy, there we go. I'm going to pop into the Facebook group. It's titled the Radiologic Technologist Group Live Q&A now. I hope everybody had a good Christmas and holidays. It's been crazy, I know, with all the politics and shenanigans. And can we please just get back to business? That would be nice. Not much has changed in the world of X-ray, of course. If you have any questions, hey, Darnell. If you have any questions, of course, post them in the comments section. But I've been watching, you know, of course, we all take a break, or we try to take a break over the holidays. And, of course, I'm no different. I laid low, didn't do a whole lot of social media if I could help it. I've been accepting membership requests on the Facebook group. In fact, I need to probably go ahead and welcome the newest members because we're getting quite a few on a daily basis now. I come over here and hit right welcome post. Yeah, we'll just say hello to the new members. 2,531 and counting on the Facebook group. You're welcome to join. We take anybody in the radiology field and people that are interested in the field, because the best place for you to get information about what we do is from us, not from websites that are just trying to farm traffic so that they can sell advertising and make money based on the amount of traffic they get. That's why you still see a lot of radiology websites out there that use the word technician. Now, that it's not as sensitive as it used to be. You know, there used to be a big deal in our world about getting called a technician, and it was you know, derogatory because we're technologists, not technicians. But we really moved past that at this point. We were actually called technicians up until I think around the 60s. I wrote a post about it on our blog, theradiologictechnologist.com. One of our original societies was X-ray technicians, and it wasn't until I think the 60s, like 64 or something like that, that we changed the word to technologists. So while we still like to giggle about being called technicians, it's really not that big of a deal. But I brought that up because most of the public doesn't know the difference, and they, you know, still refer to us as X-ray technicians. So the websites out there that are just in it for the buck, they'll use that keyword and post topics about X-ray technician salaries and X-ray technician schools. And the sole purpose of that is to get people to click on them in the search engine results and get traffic, which makes them money because then their ads are displayed. Or if you click through to sign up for more information from a school or something like that, they make money on that. And so that's why you still see the word technician out there so much. But I thought I'd get on today and go over some of the latest posts, answer some questions that I've seen on there. And let's see, Darnell, you think it's okay that I've already been professionally stalking the hospital at one? No, man, I think that's brilliant, dude. You definitely want to check out where you want to work, because the last thing you want to do is fly blind. I have a couple of posts about doing exactly that, only kind of virtually stalking, really. I talk about getting on LinkedIn and looking for the CEOs and VPs and imaging directors and things like that through LinkedIn and find out who they are. Then you have names. Then you can send emails to them or call and ask to talk to them by name. The more you know about the facility that you want to apply at, the better off you'll be. and odds are you'll be applying against several different people. So, one of the things I used to ask a lot in those interviews was, what did you research about our hospital, or what did you look up? Do you know how many beds we have? Do you know what services we provide? Because most hospitals have a website with an imaging page, and it'll tell you right there what all the equipment is. Do they have a PET scanner? Do they do 3D tomography? You can find out a lot about a hospital by looking it up online, and you can look up the people online. And like Darnell, you can walk through and check things out. There's nothing wrong with going to a hospital and sitting at the little coffee shop out in the foyer and just watching people for a little while and see where they go and check out the flow of traffic. Okay, so that's where they come in and check in. Let me turn that off. That's where they check in, and then the volunteer takes them to the lab over there, or x-ray over there, or up there to surgery, or wherever. The elevators over here, cafeteria's down in the basement. You can go down the cafeteria and get lunch, hang out, and observe. I think that's a great idea. Good. Darnell reached out to the CEO, the CFO, and a couple of texts through that. That's brilliant. You're so far ahead of the game. So many people don't know how to do that. I'll tell you, it's the people that look into it ahead of time and are prepared. What's that old saying? Fate favors the prepared person. Not chance. Don't leave it up to chance. But anyway, I just wanted to spend a little bit of time online and do something after the new year. All my Santa gigs. I didn't do a lot of Santa gigs this year, but I did a handful. I grow the beard out. I bleach it out. It was nice and full up till about a week ago. I went in and had some sides trimmed out of it, and trying to decide if it's time to shave it off or change the color or what. But staring at a white beard for several months tends to make you start feeling older than you are. So let's look at the group and see. What do we have? Here's someone posting, I'm doing my school research at the moment in Austin, Texas. Eventually want to do CT or MRI. I honestly love the MRI noise. It's good for you because I can't stand it. But I'm also brand new to the medical field. I know absolutely nothing about what I should be looking for in a school. Any pointers, biggest piece of advice, any regrets in the school you choose. And this is what I like about, this is why I created this RadTech group on Facebook, because here's someone who is not in the field yet and hasn't even applied yet, is still trying to figure out what school they want to go to. And they're able to connect. So far, they've gotten 11 answers from 11 different technologists that are giving them pointers and guidance on how to find a good school, what modalities are. Before, like when I was looking around 18 years ago, the only thing I knew to do was to seek out other techs and ask them did you like your job? And of course, right before me, my stepdad went through the same program I went through, actually. So I knew a little bit about it and a little bit about the people, the teachers. And I started in the lab, so I knew the local hospitals, and I'd worked in the lab for about 10 years. So that's what this group is for people to get their answers straight from the source and not off the internet from these fly-by-night websites that are just in it for the traffic. Here's a girl named Tracy, said, this past week were my first day of clinicals. It was overwhelming, to say the very least. How long did it take y'all to start understanding what the hell you were seeing on images? I feel like that's my biggest weakness. I'm not sure for a lot of abdomen and others what I need to be looking for. So there's a good example of someone that's in the field as a student and what they're struggling with, and they're able to reach out. 13 comments on this one of people telling them what they went through or what they think she should focus on. I think I've got one in here. I said, you'll never stop learning what's on the images. The human body is extremely complex. having a photographic memory helps, but you'll never know all of the possible pathologies. I mean, even the radiologists, that's why they have all those books in their offices so they can look stuff up. And I had a good radiologist once, a friend of mine named Josh. He told me his penguin theory one time, and he said, and he learned it from a professor in medical school. He said, our brains are like icebergs, and every time we learn something, it takes the form of a penguin on our iceberg. And at some point, your iceberg is covered in penguins, and there's no room for another penguin. But yet you have to learn something new. So in order to accept a new penguin on your iceberg, you have to kick an old one off. So, even these radiologists are aware that human limitations of the brain, you just can't remember everything. And that's why you should always remember as a student, if there's something you forgot or you didn't do correctly, we're not robots. We're not computers. We're not going to remember everything. Now that doesn't cover you if you've been told something several times and you're still messing it up. But there's no way this person's saying, when am I going to know what I'm looking at? You're not. I said the best skill that you can learn is how to identify when an X-ray is abnormal in appearance, and then seek advice from the radiologist. In other words, learn what normal pathology looks like. Then you'll recognize abnormal by default. You may not know what it is, but you'll know it's not normal. So in other words, we learn in school what a normal chest X-ray looks like. We know the 12 different things you should see on a chest X-ray, from costophrenic angles to cardiophrenic angles, how many ribs, the apices, all the different things you should see on a normal chest X-ray. And you'll see thousands upon thousands of those. So when you get one that has pneumonia or a pneumothorax or something unusual, you may not know what's wrong or what's different, but you can tell something's different. And that's the first step, is you just learn what normal pathology is. And then when you see something different, go back afterwards and follow up and see what the radiologist said about that image. Or just go straight to them and ask them, hey, what is this? I've never seen this before. But this was a good question, an honest question by somebody who's a student in their clinical, saying, I sure wish I knew what I was looking at better, but you're never going to know it all. And the doctors don't even know it all. Here's another really good post. I haven't seen this one posted before, and I really liked it. I think I even said that in my comment. But this person was just asking for clarification on all the different kinds of tubes that can go in the body, because we X-ray them for the nurses or doctors that put them in place. If a nurse puts a tube down a patient so that they can feed them, say they're unconscious or medicated, we go in with an X-ray and verify that the tip of the tube is inside the stomach and not up in the esophagus or somewhere else. And so this person is saying, the difference between an OG tube and an NG tube. So that's and a PEG tube. And do we do a high KUB or a low chest? There's a CBL and an ETT PICC lines. So this is a question where you don't necessarily get taught these things in X-ray school, right? You're taught how to take a chest X-ray. And so you learn that in order to check an NG tube, you might need to go a little bit low on the chest X-ray, because the NG tube, you can't see it on my camera, but the stomach, where your stomach is, the NG tube goes right past the esophageal junction right there into the stomach, so that when they squirt a syringe of food or paste down in there, it ends up in the stomach. There's a radio pay tip on that NG tube, so you can see where the tip of it is. And, we're taught how to take pictures, but not necessarily, where does a midline stop, or where does a PICC line stop, or where do different tips, where do they end up? And I have a post on the blog about the different types of surgical equipment that we may get called in to look for if they do a post-surgery count and they see, or sponge count as they sometimes call it. They know how many different pieces of instruments are on the tray when they're doing a surgery. And if they do a post count afterwards and something's missing, we get called up as X-ray techs to take an X-ray. And all these different things have a particular part of it that you can see on an X-ray. So I've got a nice post that shows several different kinds of sponges and cloths and clips and needles and things like that that show you what they should look like or what to watch for when you're doing those images. But these are some really great posts on here. Here's one from Bradley. So I have all my prerequisites for my local radiology program, but I'm nervous to make the jump. I'm sure there are many other people in my shoes, meaning start the program, because this person says I have a family and bills and everything in between, and I make $21 an hour already, and I'm genuinely wondering if it will be financially feasible to pursue this career. So that's a great question. You know, if you have a job and you're already making $21 an hour, is it worth going into X-ray, which makes about $21 an hour? But what people are pointing out to Bradley on the post here is that's just the start of the radiology career ladder. Once you move into CT or MRI or ultrasound or nuclear med or DEXA or mammo or IR or a plethora of other modalities you can move into, you make more and more money every time you move up. So yes, it's a lateral move at the beginning for Bradley to go from $21 an hour he's at to a $21 an hour X-ray tech. But then, as someone else pointed out, you also have shift differentials and being on call to make more money and all these other things that he didn't have at his current job. So it's tough to do apples to apples unless you know what really happens in our field, and that's what everybody's telling him. There's 18 comments on his post about what people are making. This person is saying, I do CT and I make $30 an hour. And let's see, what are some other ones? This person saying, if you have support for your kids, if you have spousal support to help with the kids, then definitely go for your passion. So somebody, PM this person to have a private conversation. Heather says she quit her full-time job to go to school, and she's in her second semesters, and she's a mother of two in her 30s. Lots and lots of great advice from people who are actually doing it, and that's the beauty of this Facebook group. Here's some spam. Let's tag that. We don't need International Fashion Week on our RadTech blog. So here's what I do. I've got a little sneakier with this. I turn on post approval for these people and confirm it. And this only happens because I let people from outside of radiology. And if I said this was only a group for RadTechs, then I could just go to the ART website, look up the person's last name, and verify that they're licensed. I could do that. But I want to provide information for people, for the next generation, for the people that want to come in behind us. I'd rather they got their information from us than somebody else. So in comes Perriette Xavier, who posts about International Fashion Week. So first I turn on post approval so that if they keep trying to post, they think it's going to work. And then I remove the post. So this way they don't realize they've been booted, because they haven't. I just turned on their post approval, and they'll keep coming, because what these people often do, not that, this is a sidetrack, you don't care about this, but what they do is they come to mine and they post something and they don't even come back and look at it. And they go somewhere else and post the same thing, and they go somewhere else and they just spam everybody. So if you delete them, they'll just come back. They either come back as the same person, or if you block them, they come back as a different person. So, there's really no way to stop them, but I do kind of lean on the members to tell me when that stuff comes through too, because then I can get it taken out a lot faster. Jesse here posts, looking into getting into the field, a late career change. I'm 34. Any tips or advice? 34 comments on that post about, a lot of them are people that started late. I think I started at 27 or something like that. And so Darnell says, besides the anatomy of the bones in the body, which I already know, what other things can I study in advance while I wait for March 1st to get here? Well, there's a lot of things. I mean, if you wanted to, you could see if you can find out what X-ray equipment they have in the department where it looks like you're going to get a job at, or do your clinical rotations at. I can't remember where you're at. But if you can find out what they have, you can find a YouTube video on how to operate that equipment. because all the vendors have YouTube videos on how their equipment works, and you may find other techs out there that are starting to show how to do exams on that equipment. That's becoming more and more commonplace. There's a lot of hospitals that have negative policies about employees taking pictures or videos in the hospital. You can get fired for it. But more and more people are coming out with channels that are teaching how to do examinations and things like that. With YouTube channels like X-Ray Ray, I always recommend X-Ray Ray. He's in his second year now, I think, of X-Ray school. He's got some good stuff on there. So one thing you can do is find out what equipment they have and start reading up on it. What else could you do? Let's see. Besides the anatomy, what else? It won't matter whether you're in Virginia or Florida, but let's see. Besides the anatomy, start learning your positioning. I might have some of it on my blog, but that's something you could look on YouTube. Yeah, X-Ray Ray is pretty cool. You might start looking at, get yourself a comp list, a comp sheet. A comp sheet is what you're given that has all the different X-ray positioning techniques. Like, for example, you're going to be told you have to learn how to do a hand X-ray, and that's one of your comps that you have to be competent at, a competency. And a hand X-ray has 3 different views of the hand that you have to take. If you can get your hand on a competency list, which that's a good idea, maybe I can find one and post it on here, but you can start searching for YouTube videos on those. Just do a search for X-ray, hand X-ray, or foot X-ray, or ankle X-ray, or elbow X-ray. And I'm sure somebody's got a video teaching you how to do that. Teach you how to do that on I'll see if I can't just hit a channel real quick. I go to YouTube and I type in the top hand X-ray positioning, and here is TCH Radiology, how to position a hand radiograph from 2 years ago, going all the way back 8 years ago. Somebody named K.L. Helens, X-ray projection of the hand. So you can start learning, and this is really starting to happen thanks to COVID, because schools were making students learn on their own. It's crazy. They were shutting down the clinical rotations and basically saying, figure it out. So there's some stuff on YouTube. I would recommend you go on there and start kind of getting an idea. I wouldn't say take what they tell you as absolute, because I don't know who these people are. So just get a basic idea that a hand X-ray has 3 views and basically what they are and where they put the IR and what size cassette and how to hang it. They call it hanging because back in the day it was a film that you would hang on a light board. Now it's all digital on a computer, but you still, like hands, for example, should be facing up. Hands face up, feet face up. There's certain ways that you hang a film. I'm watching this one here, Anatomy of Hand X-Rays Revised, and they've got the hand upside down. That's one of the things we always laugh about as techs when we watch things on TV, and they'll put like an abdomen X-ray up on ER or whatever, and it's upside down, or they're looking at something and it's backwards or whatever, and it always we always post that on our groups, and it makes us laugh. But that's something you can do to start getting ready. She's so rad. I'm in school now, and I use RadTech Boot Camp, and it's amazing, and it will teach everything. So Chris Cotting, a buddy of mine, is the one who wrote RadTech Boot Camp. Chris Cotting is in my Facebook group, and he also has his own Facebook group, which I recommend. It is called Radiology Technologist Life, and I like his. Ours are separate, really. His also focuses on students, but not people from the outside. And what Chris's goal is to just let people talk about their lives as technologists and students, and share ideas and share experiences and create a safe place for those in the field and in school and he created RadTech Boot Camp, and it totally kicks ass. That's one of my favorites out there. People say to me, why don't you write something? Why? Chris he's already got it. Why do I need to? It's like, we have Burger King, McDonald's, Wendy's, In-N-Out. You don't need 52 different burger joints, just one good one, and you're good. They say competition's good, but I don't need to waste my time writing a review program when Chris is as extensive as it gets. In fact, I think and maybe you can comment on it, is there positioning videos inside of that program? So if Darnell was to sign up, would he see the positioning protocols? Maybe She's So Rad can say something about that. So with that name, if you have a channel that talks about X-ray, I'd be happy to promote it. Just let me know. And I'm trying to do collaborations with like X-ray Ray and some of these guys, but nobody's taken me up on it yet. I don't know why. I don't know if I'm the old gray bearded man nobody wants to talk to or what, but I've hit Ray up like 3 times and he still hasn't even commented. So happy to help you promote if you're putting stuff out there on a channel. She's So Rad. Here's another post on the Facebook group that I love this topic. It's forensic X-ray, forensic radiography, and I got two posts on that on my blog. If you use that little search bar in the top right and just type in forensics and hit search, I've got 2 articles. One of them, I interviewed the local county coroner, where he talks about everything he sees, and within reason. I couldn't let him get super detailed, but because he sees everything. But what people don't know, even in school, they don't tell you this. You're an X-ray tech, and all of a sudden you're on the night shift, and here comes the county coroner with a bag full of body parts. And he says, "Hey, can you X-ray this for me?" You're like, "What? Am I allowed to do that?" Yeah, so we do that all the time. We CT full bodies. We look for bullet wound entries. The exit's usually pretty obvious. We look for any leftover fragments still in the body, fractures. So forensic radiography is a pretty cool field. And so someone was talking about it. Kathleen here on the group was talking about it. A morgue. There's somebody found it under morgue tech in Dane County, Wisconsin. Darnell, you want to start a channel, brother? I'll back you up 100%. Just be careful what you record at work, because if they find out, they could get real pissy. I got written up as a director because I'm still doing X-rays and stuff. One of my gigs up north, I did a 3-month gig, and right in the middle of COVID, I was fully gowned, getting ready to go do a portable chest, and one of the nurses thought it was funny seeing me in the full gown and took pictures of me, so I was posing, and they Facebooked it, and I put something because it was actually my birthday. It was May 15th. And I posted, "Look at me working on my birthday, all COVIDed up, helping my fellow man," or whatever it was. And I got pulled in and written up because you're not supposed to take pictures in the hospital or talk about exams or, whatever. No pictures, no video. So I took that post down, whatever. But just be careful. I highly encourage sharing what you learn. Like, it would be really cool if people who are going into X-ray school video blogged or vlogged it going through. That's what X-ray Ray's doing. That way people that want to get into it can see the real thing, as opposed to once you have the job. It's a lot tougher. It's still the hospital, right? So whether it's a student taking pictures in the hospital or a tech, you still can get in a lot of trouble if you're not careful. But there's ways you can do it that can keep you out of trouble. Like X-ray Ray, sometimes he'll talk from his back porch, I think by his pool and stuff like that, or maybe that was another one of the techs that has a channel. You don't have to do it from inside the hospital. You can do it outside on the patio. You can talk about it from home. You should have X-ray equipment in your classrooms if you're at the right kinds of schools, I would really question a school that didn't have X-ray equipment. Maybe it's because they don't have enough money, but how do you learn how to use this stuff if you don't have that in your classroom? Lonnie, do X-ray techs and nurses work together? Oh yeah, all the time. Whenever I would run departments, I would have anywhere from 7 to 11 nurses in my imaging department that were imaging nurses. I mean, that's just one aspect. We work with nurses on the floors in the ICU. The nurses, if you're doing portables, the nurses are taking care of the patients right there. You may ask them to move all the lines out of my way so I can do a chest X-ray, or can you lift the patient up while I put the film behind them, or is it okay if I remove these EKG leads long enough to shoot an X-ray and then I'll put them back? They're always, every tech, MRI, CT, every tech works with nurses, and nurses work in every imaging department. We need them for sedation. We need them for IV starts sometimes. So yeah, they always work together. I was thinking about starting a channel, but I'm such an introvert and shy that I don't know if I can. I was going to do vlog style. I get it. I was the same way. I started blogging about X-ray 2 years ago. In March, it'll be 2 years. And if you look back on this channel, it's kind of embarrassing, but if you look back on this channel, I used a program called Content Samurai that basically allows you to like copy your paper and put it in Content Samurai, and it'll do a voiceover reading your stuff for you. And it just basically takes a sentence or two and puts it on a slide and reads it out loud. And you end up with a slideshow of a voiceover of your content. And like my first 20 videos are that style because I didn't want to be on camera. But at some point I'm like, either people want to watch or they don't. I'm the same person given the same information. Only this way allows me to freestyle and answer questions. I couldn't do that with Content Samurai. And when I really have fun is when I get my wife on here with me because she's hilarious. And she's an X-ray tech at a local. Now she's at an outpatient, or now she's in a doctor's office. She was in the hospital. She just got. I won't say it's her dream position, but it's kind of what she wanted. She was doing 212s in the hospital, which gave her 5 days off a week, which was awesome. But it was 7A to 8:30 p. So she was missing a lot of the kids' basketball games and stuff. So now she's got a cool little 8 to 5. That's like this weird 3-on. I don't even know. But she gets an entire week off at a time now. It's like she works Thursday, Friday, and gets Saturday, Sunday off, and then works Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then she's off again all the way to the next Thursday. So, it's only healthcare that you can pull this kind of crap, because hospitals, that's what I always tell you guys, you are so valuable. Hospitals will do just about anything to hire you on. Now, once they get their greedy little meat hooks in you, then they start kind of giving you a hard time, not giving you the raises you deserve or asking you to do more for the same amount of money. But that's another topic for another day. So she's so rad. If you think about starting a vlog, however you want to do it, you can just write about it. That's what my blog is, the radiologictechnologist.com. It's a blog I started. People said, oh, that name's so long, nobody's ever going to remember it. And I said, yeah, they will, because the people that are looking for it know what it means. You common bloggers who just niche blog to try and make money, you don't know what it means, so you wouldn't be looking for it. But those of us in the field know exactly what it is. In fact, I was surprised the domain name was even still available. But that's where I started. I started blogging, and then eventually I figured I better start putting stuff out there, because I'd rather watch a video on something than read the book. I've always been a theater movie person as opposed to a novel reader. So I started doing videos, and I started out with just the voiceovers, and here I am blabbering away live. Just do the best you can. That's all. So, Lonnie, I hope I'm saying that right. Lonnie, same. I'm a shy introvert person heading into X-ray school. I wrote an article about being an introvert in X-ray school. Let me pop over to my blog. maybe it was a video. I think it might have been a video. But I'm gonna go. If you want to know stuff, introvert, go to my blog and just use the search bar and type in whatever you're thinking. Forensic X-ray, introvert, whatever. So that's not there. So that means it's on my YouTube channel. So if I go here to my channel, to manage videos, somewhere back in here, there's probably a search feature somewhere. Yeah, search across. Introvert. There it is. On September 16th of this year, I did a video titled "Can Introverts Be Successful in X-Ray Careers and Other Anxiety Disorders?" Because there's a lot of people that feel that way, Lonnie. A lot of people are like I had a guy emailing me. I get emails all the time. I had a guy that said, "I'm really struggling as a tech because we'll be sitting in our control area when there's nothing to do, and everybody will be having the standard chit chat, and I don't want to talk because I'm an introvert. But then I start looking like I'm an ass because I don't communicate or I don't join into the conversation." And so I had this dialogue with this person. We kind of did some coaching and some mentoring about what is small talk and how to learn how to participate in small talk. Talking about what do you do on the weekend and what do your kids like to do, and all these things that make up the art of small talk and just conversationalism. And I kept going back and forth with this person, kind of teaching them how to have conversations. And as far as I know, it's working out good. But a lot of people struggle with that. And it's funny. We used to kind of make fun of the nuke med techs because the nuke med techs are your hardcore scientists. They're like your nerds, your geeks. I'm going to find out exactly what molecule is wrong in your body with this particular chemical. But they were like the driest personality on the planet. And what's happening to our profession over time is of course, the insurance companies don't want to pay, right? Every year they come out with some new scheme on what they're going to do to reimburse us less. And so they started coming out with patient satisfaction scores. I'm sure you've heard that. Patient satisfaction scores, meaning after the patient gets their exam done, they're going to get a survey and they're going to ask, were they treated right? Were they happy with the service they got? And if they say no, and a hospital gets enough no's, they will start getting paid less reimbursement than they were before. And that's how the government and Medicare and Blue Cross and all the payors are trying to make sure that the hospitals give the best care possible. Because for a long time, all hospitals did was every exam possible because they got paid for everything they did. So they call it fee for service, meaning whatever service you did, you got a fee for. Well, they're moving away from that model now, and now it's about patient satisfaction. And eventually they're only going to give these hospitals like $800 per patient total. And you've got to fix that patient for $800. And if it takes you $1,000 to do it, then you're in the hole. So now the doctors are going to have to start, do I really need to order that MRI? Do I really need to order that CT? Maybe I should walk in and actually touch the patient, try and figure out what's wrong with them before I send them off to all these tests, which is a good thing. But it also is turning us into a Disneyland of sorts, where we have to start doing this. Welcome to our imaging department, and going through all these checklists of my name is this, and I'm here for this. And is it true that you hurt here? And can you tell me more about it? And you want to try to be as communicative as possible without revealing something you're not supposed to, without stepping outside your scope of practice. And this goes back to getting reimbursed as much as possible. And those nuke med techs, we really had to work with the nuke, and not just them, but where I was at the time, it was in Arizona. We had some nuke med techs. They were great techs. They were just like, I'm going to do an exam now. And you had to lighten up, bud. You got to talk to them. You got to ask them how their day was. I'm sorry you're feeling this way. Let's see if we can get in there and figure it out. And you got to be more personal. And some people aren't wired like that. Lonnie's like, I'm introverted, and there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of thinkers are that way. You're so caught up in what's going on up here that you forget that there's somebody sitting across from you that's like, bro, I just asked you a question. Are you going to answer me? Hey, man, that's just how some people are wired. But there are methodologies to help you get through that kind of stuff. You look up Toastmasters. Look up Toastmasters. It's an organization about giving talks, giving speeches, and it teaches a lot of different methods for how to like do what I'm doing. I'm pretending like you guys are all my buds, and we're just having a casual conversation, and you just relax and do the best you can. So, Zesty, can you talk about career paths in radiology? That's a big question. Is it possible to be a tech when you're older with the physical demands of the job? What are some alternate career paths as one gets older? Yeah, I recognize that name too. I think you've been on some of these before. So where to start? So the career path, you know what's good for that one? I mean, I'm not trying to duck and cover, but on my channel, one of the very first videos that I did, in fact, I think, let's have to scroll down. It's the five reasons I went into the career of radiology. Where's that? 5 reasons to choose a career in radiography. In that video, 17 minutes, I talk about a lot of that. Talk about there's about 11 different pathways. I mean, there's a lot, and you don't know that even when you get into X-ray school, you don't know. It's once you start working and dealing with all these other modalities, because not every facility has all the stuff either. If you're at an outpatient clinic doing X-rays, you have no idea that there's a whole world of women's imaging out there that functions all by itself with DEXA and mammo, 3D mammo, breast biopsies. There's so much out there that you don't learn till you get out there. So just to give you a brief on that, we're at 41 minutes. So you start an X-ray, and you can leapfrog kind of all over the place. You don't have to follow a prescribed path. On some things you do, like if you want to get into PET scanning, I always mess up the words, but positron emission tomography, I think it is. You have to be a nuke med tech first. At least you did last time I checked. So you can't jump straight into PET. You have to go to nuke, which is 2 years of school, actually, and then into PET. But you can go from X-ray to CT, MRI. Ultrasound is usually 2 more years of school, but you can learn on the job. IR, interventional radiology, mammography, DEXA scanning. Who am I forgetting? CT, MR, ultrasound, nuke med, PET, IR, mammo, DEXA. I'm forgetting somebody. Then there's radiation therapy, which is usually outside of the imaging department. It's usually in the cancer center. But there's radiation therapy, which are techs, and an X-ray tech can make a lateral move to the cath lab, which is like the OR for the cardiologists, and you can be a cath lab tech, because in the cath lab is just like the IR lab. In the IR lab, you have a radiologist doing the procedure, a technologist moving the camera around and controlling the table and assisting the doctor, and sometimes a nurse doing medications if it's needed. Well, I'll get to you in a minute, Victoria. You should be looking at wedding gowns, not watching this channel. That's my daughter. I'm doing a live stream because all the girls were out at a what do you call it, bridal show. Victoria just got engaged, bless her heart. So they're all out looking at wedding gowns and all that stuff, and I'm like, woohoo! But anyway, the cath lab's like the IR lab, but in the cath lab you have a cardiologist and a cath tech assisting. And that cath lab tech can be running the X-ray table and the X-ray equipment too. There's usually a cardiologist, a cath lab tech assist, and an X-ray tech or cath lab tech running the table. And then you could have a nurse because they're usually sedated. So 4 players in the cath lab, 3 players in IR. Both of them have X-ray techs. So when Zesty asked about all the different career paths in radiology. It's just ridiculous, the amount of jobs. And so you're talking about when you're older with the physical demands. First of all, don't let the physical demands scare you, because if you do it right, you won't get injured. And I know that's hard to believe. And I made it 18 years without injury. Only once did I pull a hamstring, and that was pulling a patient down a table by myself, which you shouldn't do. But if you ask for help, and it's expected that you will ask for help. In fact, you get in trouble. Whether you get written up or not, you get in trouble if you get hurt on the job. You get all the eyeballs on you. Depending on how you get hurt, they could even open up a investigation to figure out how you got hurt and how can they keep other people from getting hurt in that same way. And, sentinel event is when somebody gets really hurt or dies. But anytime you get injured, everybody comes out of the woodwork to figure out what happened, because you could potentially cost the hospital a lot of money if you get injured, like having to go through physical therapy and having time off, and somebody's got to cover your shift and all that stuff. So the hospitals do not want you to get injured. So you always ask for lifting help or assistance or whatever you got to do to keep from getting injured. So I wouldn't worry too much about the physical demands, because as time goes on, I mean, they're even bringing in lifts now in the automotive business. They're called cherry pickers. It's a crane that picks the engine up out of the car. We have the same thing for patients. You lay a kind of like a hammock on the bed, put the patient on it, and then it's got chains on the sides, and this crane comes over. You hook these chains up to the hammock and pick the patient up and take them off your scan table and put them back in their gurney. They're called Hoyer lifts. And I don't know what a Picklines is, Victoria. X-ray does Picklines. Oh, PICC lines. Is that what that is? Yeah. We can talk about that if you want. Picklines. So don't worry about, the physicality. You have to be careful. There's no joke. And there's things that can happen to you whether you want it to or not. If you have a patient standing at a wall board and you're doing a chest x-ray and they start to fall, your natural instinct is to catch them. And if they're 300-400 pounds, they're going to take you down with them and you're going to get injured. And it's hard to stay hands off sometimes in that kind of a situation. But what you're taught to do is kind of stick a leg out there and try to guide them down your leg and keep them from hitting their head on the floor. There's things like that you can do to make it easier on them, but not stressing you out. But hopefully we're not in a place where we have to stand somebody up at the board. I mean, really, you should gauge that patient. And if they're unsteady in any way, maybe somebody needs to help that person, or maybe you put them in a chair and do them sitting up, or even in their gurney, sitting up, upright in the gurney, whatever. Worst thing you can do is walk away from a patient and they fall off a table. I've been a consultant in a law case where a CT tech had a seizure patient who was in the ED for seizures, and they put the patient on the table and walked away to scan them, and the patient fell off the table and actually broke some vertebrae. And so, who's liable? So anyway, always ask for help when you need it. What are some alternate career paths when you get older? Well, there's all your vendor stuff. You can be if you stay in X-ray, you can become an X-ray salesperson. You can become the apps specialist that comes in and teaches people how to do the apps side of it, or the control panels. You could be a buddy of mine was a GE. I forget what it was called. Wasn't an app specialist, but he just traveled around to the hospitals and set up a C-arm in the OR, and a group of 5 or 6 techs would come up for 30 minutes and he'd show them how to use the new OR, and then they'd go back to work and another 5 would come up and he'd show them how to use the new C-arm in the OR. And he just traveled around showing people how to use the C-arm, and he loved it. And what else? So there's the sales side, there's the software side, the teaching you how to use the equipment. I'm forgetting. There's the radiation, the RSO, the radiation safety officer. That's a whole nother job career. You can sit through, I think it's a week-long program in California and an extra test. So I've got a post on that on the blog. It's been a while since I've written it. But every hospital has to have an RSO, radiation safety officer, and that's the person that keeps track of all the dosages and gets involved with the policies like this big push to stop shielding our patients. They get involved in all that stuff. So there's the RSO. There's just a lot of things that you can do in the radiation or radiography world, radiology world. I got 6 viewers and 2 thumbs up. I'm going to ask you guys to hit some thumbs up out there. 7 viewers and 2 thumbs up. Hit some thumbs up for me, guys. So Victoria asked about PICC lines. So PICC lines, believe it or not, first of all, if you don't know what a PICC line is, it's an IV line that they put in for long-term use, like up to a week or something. Because let's say you got an IV in a person in the ICU and 3 days goes by or whatever, and they got to take it out because due to infection, it can only stay in there. PACS admins, the same thing. We can do that too. That's a great career path. I'll get into that in a sec. IVs can only stay in so long by regulation. They have to come out. Then you got to go to the other arm, and then that has to come out. And for people that have to stay a long time, eventually what a doctor will say is, you know what, I can tell this patient's going to be here for a week or 2 weeks or whatever, or we're going to have to discharge them and send them home and keep them on certain medications that get injected. So, ports are done in IR, but very similar to PICC lines. So for patients that need intravenous medications, they may send patients home with a PICC line because that's safer and the patients can manage that. So it used to be something that really just nurses would do. Doctors are trained, of course. Doctors can do it in the emergency room, but X-ray techs can also do them. I was trained in doing PICC lines. It's harder to do with just one person, but it can be done. I went to a 3-day seminar that Bard gave because we bought our supplies from Bard. Bard came out, did a 3-day seminar. This was back at the old Mesa General back in Arizona. And I did several sticks in class, and then a radiologist had to check me off on like 5 of them. And then let's see where everybody's at. If you're almost home, I'm probably going to get off because then, everybody's home. Here comes the army of loud people. Anyway, X-ray techs can put in PICC lines, and that can be your sole job. You can do PICC lines from 8 to 5 and then be on call and come in and do them in the middle of the night, because if you get a patient that needs certain meds have to be given intravenously, they can't be given orally. And if you can't get an IV started because, say, they were an extensive drug user and they have no veins left, whatever, just a hard stick, they'll need a PICC line in the middle of the night to start medications. I keep pointing to an IJ, but that's not where it's at. It actually starts down here in the anticube. Usually goes in right about there, and they feed it in, and they come in and it stops right above the SVC, and it disperses the meds right there. If for some reason they can't get it all the way, or if they specifically want it only halfway, you can stop right around mid-clavicle, and that's called a midline. But you can't give all the same medications in both. There's different reasons why you can do certain things with certain lines. But PICC lines, you can actually do that for and then have you personally avoided burnout? I've got live one. You can come join in if you want. I told them you were more fun. Yeah, I just left the mess there. Yeah. So whatever. Say hi. Come say hi. Victoria, I think's on here, unless she's still on it out there. Who cares what your hair looks like? Anyway, how have you personally avoided burnout? I haven't. I've gotten caught right up in the middle of it, and it's nasty. So huge article on my blog for that. It actually got picked up by Google and spread around quite a bit when it first came out. And I've given talks on burnout at conferences because I identified 13 different causes, and I gave 2 solutions to each. So I wish I could prescribe every tech to go read that article, because it's going to catch up to everybody at some point. I moved around a lot as far as I got into X-ray school in 2003 and started ultrasound school by 2006. So from 3 to 5 was X-ray, 6 to 8 was ultrasound. I learned CT in the middle, and then I got out of there and learned MRI. And so I was kind of, when you move around modalities like that, you don't necessarily get caught up in the same drama as you do when you're stuck in one place for a long time. But I also was kind of what I call a call whore, meaning I took call. I loved it, took it all the time. The money is just so good. You literally could make $200 an hour being on call if you do it right, because you're getting time and a half times 2 hours, regardless of the time you spend doing it. So, in other words, when I was doing ultrasounds and on call, if I got called in to do an ultrasound and it took me 30 minutes, I still got paid a minimum of 2 hours at time and a half. And so I was making, I think, 33 an hour as an ultrasound tech. So you say time and a half, let's just say $50. So 2 hours at $50 is $100 for a callback. So I guess I was off a little bit. $100 an hour for callbacks. But you go and do your callback, get it done, and get off campus. And then as soon as you get another call, you go right back in. And there were nights when you can have 8 or 9 callbacks. You're approaching $1,000. And then if you're really slick, you take call at multiple places at the same time, if you can still pull that off. I don't know if you can pull that off anymore. I took call at 3 places at once and got away with it for a good 6 months. But and didn't get any trouble or anything. I just couldn't keep up. But boy, did I make some good money. But burnout's just something you just have to learn. You got to do your research, and if something's eating at you, you gotta go. Sometimes you got to move. Sometimes you got to leave. Sometimes you got to change to another department or facilities altogether. Whatever. Zesty, would a PAX admin fall under alt career path? Yeah. So think about it. Who knows PAX better than a tech? Yes, you can learn. You can be a computer geek and learn PAX and coming from that direction. But who would be better at it? A technologist would be way better, and that's what I've seen. Is CT techs and other techs become PAX admins and super users or whatever the titles are. But PAX admin usually can make a good 100 and a quarter, 150,000 a year too. So it's a good career path. As long as you're not stuck with a crappy, cheap PAX system that you're always having to troubleshoot, which can happen depending on your organization. What else? Lonnie, one of the mentions, I like the idea of being a future x-ray tech is the physical work and being on your feet for the most of the time. I dislike jobs that require you to sit. So don't go into MRI then, because you will sit a lot in MRI. CT, not so much. You're up and about quite a bit in CT. X-ray, you're on the go. The opposite side of that is the OR. I can't stand being on my feet for an entire shift, and that's exactly what the OR is. Or IR, same thing. You're standing there through the whole procedure, and it can really wear those feet out. Now that I've discovered Hoka's, my favorite shoe of all time ever, maybe that would work. But back in the day, when I just wore tennis shoes, standing on your feet all day in the OR sucked. So we're coming up on an hour, and everybody's home. So I really expected them to be gone another 2 hours. So thanks for the thumbs up, guys. I appreciate that. Sis is asking about ports. That's done in IR. So IR, interventional radiology, you can consider like another OR. In fact, if you have a nice IR lab in your department, the OR wants to come use it. And the cardiologists from the cath lab want to come use it. And it's kind of cardiologists and radiologists never get along, partially because they're in a little bit at each other's territory, just a little bit. Meaning the IR can do some of the stuff the cath lab does and vice versa. And so whenever you hit droughts or you lose a doc that does a certain type of procedure and the other team starts doing them, then you start to lose hours and the techs start losing hours, and it's this big battle. So the big giveaway. I don't think I did a giveaway yet, bro. It's been the holidays, man. It's Christmas, New Year's. But an interventional, you can put stents in. You can do biopsies of kidneys and livers, and you can biopsy just about anything. You can do ablations where you go in and burn stuff out. Transhepatic shunts. There's just Google that. Google interventional radiology procedure list and see what comes up. That it's really cool. If you like surgeries and watching stuff like that, I recommend the IR. It's way cool. It pays upwards of $40+ an hour. It has call. So I was thinking about the cath lab. The cath lab makes good money, but they usually burn the crap out of you, meaning you work 8 to 5 Monday through Friday, or you might get lucky and get 12, but you usually work 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. Then you have to take call all night long till the next day, and you get called in all night long till the next day. So, ask your cath lab techs. They'll last 6 months to a year, and then they get burned out from all the call. So a good place will have 3 teams, Team A, B, and C. So Team A will have the day shift, Team B will be on call, and Team C is resting. And then they rotate all that stuff. Otherwise, you get massive burnout. The IR, you're not usually that lucky because they don't run that much volume like the cath lab does. But you still have just as much. If you have an IR lab and you're doing any amount of decent volume, you have to be on call and offer some of that stuff at night. Like a lot of times the PICC lines that people that put them in, if they can't get them in, they'll do it in IR under fluoro, and the radiologist will do it. So that's one of the common things that IR does. But there's a lot of very complicated things that they also do. 11 and a halfs aren't even that big, bro. 11 and a halfs. Zesty, I asked because I was in IT before grad school. Now, thanks for all your info. I've been having a lot of doubts and uncertainty about whether I've made the right career move. Oh yeah. So, well, thanks for the compliment too, and that's why I put it out there, and that's why, like I was saying to I think Lonnie earlier about being an introvert. I may suck at being a speaker, and I may not look like somebody wants me to look, or maybe I look like an old man, or whatever. That's what's in my mind a lot. Because I'm gonna hit 50 this year, and I swear I was just 25 the other day. But I've got 20 years of experience to give out there, and if it helps one person, then it was worth it. And I don't know where else you go to get this stuff, because I certainly, honest to God, I didn't know about BEs till I was 3 weeks in the program. They were like, and today we're going to talk about the bare minimum. I'm like, the what? That's not in the, of course they're not going to put that in the brochure, right? So there's stuff that you don't find out about until you're in the program. And that's what this channel's for. Get that stuff out there. I really like to figure out how to start helping you guys study too, because I see people struggling a lot, and man, that stresses the hell out of you when you're going to school and like your family depends on you getting through it and paying bills, and you're trying to work and go to school and all that stuff. And then maybe your teacher sucks or something's making it hard for you to study. It just seems a lot harder than it really has to be if you just have the right method to study. Because I tell you, on my blog, I have study quizzes for just about every class. And some things change, but not much. I mean, the bones in the foot are the bones in the foot. They're never going to change. Anatomy is never going to change. Physics is never going to change. Positioning is never going to change. What's going to change is a little bit of the physics when it comes to the digital radiography. What's going to change is a little bit about what the equipment is made of, or the components of the equipment as we change over time. Like I had to learn about glutaraldehyde and all the chemicals that you develop film with, and we had dark rooms and all that silliness. And of course they were saying, we're not going to use this anymore, and your class is going to be the last class to have to learn it. I'm like, why do we have to learn it at all? But I did. I ended up in some chiropractors' offices and some places that actually had film. And so it was good that I knew some of that stuff. But for the most part, it's not going to change too much. So the best thing you can do is get together in groups and study in groups, and just start bouncing ideas off each other on how to study for things, and make it easier for each other to learn together as a group. If I can figure out how to do that on here, that's what I'm working on. I'm trying to figure out, like, do I get on here and have you guys email me your homework or something, and then we just go over it? Because the way I do it is I create a visual map of everything. I make a story out of something. If I have to learn the bones in the arm, I make a story out of it. I'm on my way to the store, and I'm doing this, and I assign a bone to that thing. It goes with that old look up: 1 is a bun, 2 is a shoe, 3 is a tree. It's a studying method where you associate an idea with a picture, and then like you can learn 10 random objects by assigning them to a picture. And then when you're sitting down to take the test, you just go through your head: 1 is a bun, 2 is a shoe. And when you think about that bun, what word did you associate with the bun, and it pops right up in your head. It's super easy. Go to my blog and type in, I think it's how to pass the ART exam. And that's another one of my longer posts, but it goes through all these different scientific methods for studying to help you remember stuff. It's like the using the egg timer to go 20 minutes and then get up and take a 5-minute break. Studies show you learn more, you retain it longer if you learn in short spurts than, back in the day, we used to all stay up all night long and cram, take the test in the morning, and then forget everything. Well, you don't want to do that for classes that you have to remember, like positioning. That was fine for, world history or whatever, but a lot of the stuff we got to remember. So check out that blog post, and it'll give you some different methods on how to study. And but yeah, IT is a good career. IT is now the biggest department in the hospital. Every hospital, IT is dwarfing all the other departments. So it's not a bad gig to be in IT. But PACS is also PACS. The thing is, IT doesn't understand what we need in PACS, so they try to micromanage, but they don't understand. Like a hospital will say the patient data is private, so the employees can't get in it. Well, a PACS administrator, if you're a tech and you type somebody's name in wrong and you don't have the authority to go change that, you have to call the PACS admin and say, "Hey, I typed the name in wrong. It's Ron Jones, not Ron Smith." Then the PACS administrator has to get into that patient's chart and fix it. And IT's going, "No, you're not supposed to get into patient charts. You're just supposed to keep the software running." Well, that doesn't work. You have to have full access to the data in order to fix MRNs, or I put down I did a left foot and it was a right foot, or whatever. IT has to understand what PACS is all about, or it can be a real pain in the butt. Yeah, I'm interested in teaching. I'm actually working on my doctorate right now. I'm halfway through. I will be Dr. Jones this summer around July. And but there's only one school here, and the guy that teaches the X-ray school here has been doing it for like 18 years, and he's not going anywhere anytime soon. He doesn't need any help. He's got a good assistant already helping. So maybe I'll do something online. I don't know. But yeah, I love to teach. That's part of what I'm trying to do here, although it may not seem like it. I'm in rad tech school. What's the easiest body part, in your opinion, to pass? You mean to X-ray? Is that what you mean, Brianna? Probably the hands and feet. Those are easy to image, easy to position, easy techniques, if that's what you mean. Hey, Fernando, how's it going, bud? So we're over an hour. Unless you guys have another question, I'm getting a little thirsty. I'm gonna have to get a drink. Yes, sir. And test-wise, an ART exam. Yeah, let me pop over there. One of the first things I did was write how to study for the ART exam, because the one thing we can't do is share the questions, right? Because you'll absolutely get your license revoked for that. But what I did here, let's see. How to study for ART board exam. You know what? I just realized I can copy that and post it right here. I'm sorry, guys. I could have been doing that all along. I forgot. That's the link to how to study for the boards. That's the one that goes through all the different techniques that you can do to study. And now that my brain turned on, I'll go up here to my study guides, and I'll give you some other links. It's all right. Obviously, I like talking about it, or I wouldn't be here. Here's my, I spent, I don't know, at least 3 months, if not 6 months, part-time, taking all these x-rays and writing the parts on them, and then doing a mirror image with them whited out. So you can look at x-rays and quiz yourself on what the different parts are. So that is under resources at the top of my blog, resources and study guides. And then also under there are all these quizzes. Oops, I did that wrong. Let me go back. Right here, copy. The kids are like walking in and then walking out and then walking in and walking out. These are all the quizzes. I've got radiographic pathology, positioning 1, positioning 2, sectional anatomy, patient care, and physics. And then for those of you that used to have to take the California Philosophy Board, I had that one in here too. But those over with. You don't have to have that anymore if you got your license after 2011 from the ART. I think I still lack, like, I don't have any medical law and ethics. I might see if I can find some of that and put that in there. Radiation safety, you know, I don't have everything, but I have quite a bit. And these quizzes, you can take them on your phone. It's the same stuff, you know, it's hard to change some of this. It's really a lot of the same stuff that you have to learn. So anybody else, hand feedings, once you learn them, you don't forget. Yeah, so what I learned in school is 70, 60, 50. 70 kV, 60 kV, 50 kV. If you remember 70, 60, 50, the mass is like, you know, 20, 10, 5 or something like that. But you got to start coming out with little things to remember. Otherwise, you're going to be trying to remember techniques for 100 different positions. If you can remember 70, 60, 50, and with digital, it's a little lighter. You know, you could probably do 50 at 5 for an elbow now, but back in the day, it was, you know, 60 at 10, 50 at 5. But now it's, you know, digital is making it a lot less. Plus, you got AECs, so you can set your AEC and just and it'll fix it for you. But I'm going to call it good there and shut it off. Thanks for tuning in. Hit the website up for anything you might need. I'm going to try to do these on Saturdays to see how that goes. And math's always going to be a struggle, but there's lots of stuff out there to help you with that too. Thanks again, guys. I'll see you later.